Hi guys, good evening and welcome again to our Cairo Bootcamp. This is the last session. And yeah, if you have been following us from the start to this day, I mean, you want it to be applauded, right? Because it's not an easy ride. I mean, Cairo is not it's not something a lot of people are familiar with, but if you have been here, I mean, kudos. Today we'll be having Manoah go through front-end integration with Starknetjs, and he'll give overview of Starknetjs, introduce Starknet Scaffold, and also a whole lot of other stuff that we'll go through. Right. So if you have been following, make sure you complete your assignment. So we'll give from today to next week Thursday for you to complete assignment. After then, would send out a form so you fill and will take your Starknet address. So the foundation would send your proof of attendance of the bootcamp, right? So, Mano, are you there?
Yeah, sure. I'm here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess the floor is yours.
All right. Hi, everyone. How do we do? Trust we're having a good day. Awesome, Joseph. So we should keep up with the emojis while I talk so that I will always know we are together in the course of this call. So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for joining and also say a big thank you to the Starknet Africa team for putting up this amazing boot camp to train amazing Cairo devs in the ecosystem. So my name is Manoah, popularly known as Mano.dev. I'm a full stack blockchain developer. I'm tempted to say Starknet developer simply because I've wrapped my whole career around Starknet, right? So that's, I will say, the only chain I build on and have fun doing it. I would advise you do the same because from experience, we have been to like different blockchains, try to build on them, but we find peace and joy and passion in building on Starknet. So I will advise you to do the same. But enough of me and why I'm doing this. Let's just head over to you guys and what we are going to be doing today. So let me just give you, share my screen and then show my slides. And then we are good to go. All right. So I hope you all can see my screen. Yep. And then we are good to go. All right. So welcome to the third Cairo Bootcamp, section 7. So today we are going to be talking about front-end integration with Starknet. So I've introduced myself. I'm Manoah.dev, and that's my Twitter handle. If in case you want us to talk, chat, discuss, or if you have an amazing idea that you want me to build together with you on Starknet, I'm more than available to hop on a call with you. Yeah, so basically that's just what we'll be doing today. This is a little about me. Same thing. Too bad there's no picture, but then this is the agenda of the day. So first and foremost, we are going to be having an overview of Starknetjs and Starknetkit, which are two very, very amazing tools for front-end development on Starknet. And then we are going to look at some APIs that are being provided by these tools, like the provider, signers, and accounts. And then next, we are going to look at our ABI and also how we can make interaction from our front end to our smart contracts. And then we are going to be introducing a very, very important and wonderful tool, which is Starknet Scaffold, which is built by the Horus Labs team. So this tool is doing a lot of magic in the space, and this tool is going to relieve you of every single stress you are going to be having in trying to spin up a full stack project on Starknets, or not just only full stack projects, gaming projects. You can also scaffold dojo projects for gaming, contract only projects, and also of recent, the recent integration of Kakarot. You can also scaffold your project with that. And then finally, by the end of this class, we are going to be building a very simple to-do app and integrate it to our front end. Or sorry, a to-do DApp, sorry. And then integrate it to our front end, and then we can be able to read and then write to our smart contract by the end of this class. So we have like a very short period of time to be there, but let's keep going and hope we make it to the end. So that's all. Very short agenda for today. So let's head over to it. So first and foremost, I believe you all are very, very familiar with writing smart contracts with Starknet already. It can be as basic as writing a setter-getter contract, which is just a contract that can help you read and write from states. No hard feelings. It doesn't have to be very, very robust. You start from those small stuffs before you build robust smart contracts, right? So the prerequisite of this class, I've assumed that you have an idea about what that does. And then you also have an idea about deploying smart contracts already, like that. And then most importantly, this class assumes you already have a knowledge of any front-end framework, let's say, used for Web3 development. So mostly these frameworks include React, Next.js, Svelte, any of those that you have made use of. We can be able to use it in this tutorial. And then, so that's just the prerequisite for this. And then we are going to head over to see what Starknetjs and Starknetkit are. So this is the first session to give us an overview. All right, so what is Starknetjs? So Starknetjs is a library that helps us connect our websites or decentralized application to the blockchain-based network like Starknet, right? You use Starknetjs basically for building your front end with JavaScript or TypeScript. That's where you can use Starknetjs. So there are other tools that you can also work with, should in case like Starknet. I think there's Starknet Arrest, which is for Rust. There also Starknet PY for Python, I think so, and the rest. But then most popularly, virtually everybody or 90% of the web is built on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? And then that's why we are focusing mainly on Starknetjs for this class. So Starknetjs is just an amazing tool that can help us connect to the Starknet network, interact with our smart contracts through Starknetjs, read from our smart contract through Starknetjs, write from our smart contract, and what many more that we can do, right? That's just the job of Starknetjs. So next up, what is Starknetkit? So Starknetkit is a software development kit designed to facilitate the connection with decentralized application on Starknet. So what does Starknetkit do? So Starknetkit is just a smaller version of Starknetjs. But with Starknetkit, you cannot be able to make interactions, right? Starknetkit only allows you to connect to the Starknet network. And then you can use Starknetjs for your interactions. And you continue with that, right? That's what Starknetkit is. So it's a tool that was built recently. I said recently, yeah. It's like the last of all of the tools that was built. And then it abstracted a lot of stuff that is making the connection to be very, very easy as possible and seamless for you as a developer to be able to integrate. So Starknetkit, if you are trying to integrate from scratch, I will advise you use Starknetkit for your connection because the process is as seamless and as easy as possible. I use this most of the times for my front-end connections. I will say all of the time if I'm building a web app. So enough of Starknetkit. So next up, let's take a look at the APIs that are going to allow us interact with Starknet. So 3 important APIs: the provider, the signer, and then the accounts. And then there's one more, which is the contracts. We are also going to highlight that. So Now, the provider, what does the provider do? So the provider allows us to interact with the Starknet network without signing transactions or messages. So that's what the provider does. There are different providers, network providers that we know already. So take, for example, let's say your Alchemy address can be your own provider that you can use to interact with the Starknet network, right? But then in this case, the provider can help us read informations from the blockchain without having to sign transactions or messages. So next up is the signer. So the signer API allows us to sign transactions and messages and allows you to get the public key. So that's what the signer API helps us to do. Helps us to sign these transactions. So let's take, for example, we want to make a write call to our smart contract. We can be able to use the signer to sign these transactions, right? And then lastly, the account API, which is just an abstract of the provider with extra features. So this account, it extends the provider and it inherits all of his method. So the provider and the account, the same thing that the provider can do for you, the account can also do for you. So the account can help you interact with the Starknet network. And then it gives you other additional methods, right? Which can help you to verify signature, sign. Also, you can use this account to declare and deploy smart contracts and also new accounts using Starknetjs. So these are what these providers do for us. Sorry, I say these APIs do for us. And then these are some of the most important ones. We're also going to be looking at some other APIs in the course of building this to-do app. But then for now, this is the most important that we have to know about. So enough of Starknetjs and Starknetkits. Another most important thing is the ABI. So ABI stands for Application Binary Interface. For those of you who have already been writing smart contracts, you see that after you've deployed your smart contract, you have something called an ABI at the end of the day, which you can use for interaction. Or probably you haven't tried to stress yourself to ask what ABIs are, or you didn't see what an ABI is simply because you haven't made any front-end interaction before. But if you are coming from an Ethereum background, you already understand what ABIs are. So ABIs are the same thing with API in Web 2. So if you're a Web 2 dev, you already know APIs, right? That gives us access to different methods, get, put, delete, like that. So same way with the ABI, but the ABI now is for Web 3. That gives us access to the methods and events that we have within our smart contract. So this ABI is the interface that we can use to interact with our smart contract. So in the course of this class, if in case you don't know where to get your ABI from, you can see your ABI from StarScan. We'll show you how, and then we'll show you how to use your ABI within your front-end application, and then we can be able to use this ABI to make interaction, and you see how they work out. But if you are coming from an Ethereum background, this is going to be like a walk pass for you. All right, so what is ABI? So an ABI, also known as Application Binary Interface, is a blueprint that defines how to interact with a smart contract. So it specifies the contract functions, the parameters they take, and how to format data for calls. That's what the ABI do. So in our ABI, we can see our different functions, the parameters that this function accepts, and then how to format the data, and also the different parameters we need to maybe read from our particular smart contract. So we're also going to see a sample of an ABI, but this is just the short explanation of what an ABI is. So don't be too overwhelmed by the theory. We are going to be doing a lot of practical in this class. That's why I'm trying to rush as fast as possible so we can meet up with time and do the practical stuff of things. And then lastly, so from these explanations with these APIs and the ABI, you can be able to interact with your smart contracts and make everything easy, right? So So the final session of the day, which is going to be where we are starting our live coding session from, is going to be using Starknet Scaffold. So Starknet Scaffold, built by Horus Lab, is a very, very important tool, like I told you guys earlier on, that is going to help you spin up your project, your Starknet project, from as fast as possible. Now, this tool take all the pain in the ass that every developer have to go through when spinning up a project from scratch, right? So it takes off all those stress for you, like installing some basic dependency for styling. So Starknet Scaffold can help us automatically spin up a simple contract, a simple Starknet contract, and then we keep on writing our contract within that folder, right? And also it can help us spin up a full stack application, which we are going to have our contract and also our front end within it. And then in the front end, it has already done the Tailwind CSS setup for us. We don't have to go through to the pain in the ass of setting up Tailwind from scratch or doing the Connect wallet from scratch. Like, it has abstracted a whole lot of things. And then if you ask me, if you are a Starknet developer from like earlier this year, to be honest, the moment you meet Starknet Scaffold, you are going to realize that a lot of this is a public good, and then a lot of good has been done to the new developers coming into the ecosystem. So if you ask me, this is the best time for you to come into the ecosystem, right? With Starknet Scaffold. Just like how devs that were building during the Cairo Zero, like my mentor Kaswini, who's here, he will say we are lucky, devs like we, that came when Cairo 1 was there, right? So some of us hop into the ecosystem when it was Cairo 1, while some went through the stress of Cairo 0 before having to go through learning Cairo 1 again, stuff like that. So I would say it's the same thing for you guys. So we that were learning earlier on had to go through starting all of these things from scratch, doing our Connect wallet, designing the button, and a whole lot bunch of stuffs. But then with Starknet Scaffold, everything is made easy. And then you will see how we can do that and use it within our application, right? So with that, what is Scaffold? So it's an open source toolkit designed for developing decentralized application dApps on Starknet. So another important thing is that this tool is open source, and then it's live on OnlyDost. So I heard Mr. Paul talking about OnlyDost. So probably when you are onboarded into the ecosystem, and then there are a few changes you feel that can be made on Scaffold, then you can also raise those issues from OnlyDost on the Scaffold project, and then you can be able to add your own contribution to it. It is fully open source and open for everyone to make changes and improvement into. So while you are using Starknet Scaffold, just try to notice all the bugs or anything you might want that might go better for you, right? Best advice. So with that, let's build. So like I said, we're going to be building a very simple to-do app today in this class. And then we will just read from our smart contract and then write from our smart contracts at the end of the day. So without any further ado, let's just get to it, right? So let me escape this and then back to the call. Okay, so I can see some people are already pumped already about what's going on. All right, so I can see a lot of people are pumped, and then we are good to go. So let's get at it. My screen is already shared. First off, let's head over to the Starknet Scaffold official website, which is going to be our starting ground. So this is it. So I'll just put this in the chat, or if there's any is there a mentor here to help us to be sending out these links? So you can just head over to this link and then you see what Starknet Scaffold do. So everything you need to build dApps on Starknet, that's what Scaffold does at the end of the day. Everything at all you need to do to build dApps. This is the official GitHub page. You can head over to it and see how it works. And then there are other amazing tools offered by Starknet Scaffold that makes life very, very easy, right? Like the Burner wallet. So the Burner wallet is a simple tool for generating temporary wallets that you can use in the course of your development, right? That's what the Burner wallet is used for. So you can try to yourself. You also have the Scaffold faucet, which you can use to receive faucets, right? And then the Scaffold with Wikipedia, which is a collection of Starknet or Cairo learning resources in the ecosystem, right? So like a lot of things have been abstracted here and made easy. So you can see bunch of tools, the Starknet documentation. I remember earlier on in the ecosystem, you can't, even till date, you can't even ask ChatGPT to write Cairo contracts for you, right? So like you do the lot of working yourself, the resources. Now, prior to this, before, resources on Starknet are very, very few and minimal. But there are a lot who have resources now, and then Starknet Scaffold have highlighted them out for us. So, and then bunch of stuffs. I think there's a particular deployer that can also help you deploy your contract, but that's not here. But you can do that directly from Starknet Scaffold. All you just have to do is supply the class hash, and then if there are any constructor arguments, you supply them, and then it automatically deploys this for you. But then a lot of that, the most important thing is for us to head over to, let's go to the docs first, so you people can have a look and then read what it does. So you can read these docs in your own spare time, but I will just head over to like the installation process, right? So in the installation process, these are the most important thing for you to do. So first and foremost, you need, for you to run this, you need Node.js version 18 or higher. You need Rust. You need Git, Docker. I think this is optional. You don't really need this guy. It's optional, but the main stuff is these three, right? Perfect. And then these are the installation method. So you can install this using create Starknet app directly with npx. You can run it in your terminal, and then it's going to create this for you, just like how you go to your app and say, for those of us who are React developers, just like how you go and do create React app, right? And then it spin up that boilerplate for you. So that's the same thing that you do with Starknet Scaffold. And then secondly, you can also choose to clone the project directly from the repository, directly from the Horus Lab repository, and then you navigate to this, and then you are good to go. But if you ask me, this is the most preferred and best method for you to use, using npm directly to do this, and then you are good to go. So you can read about all other stuffs you need to know about this within the documentation. You can see the deployer, the burner, faucet, etc. You can, if you haven't installed any of this, you can run the installation process. But if you have done all of this, you can follow me within the class. And if you have all of this installed, right, you can follow me within the course of the class. So next up, you can also check the official GitHub page. So this is the GitHub, and then the GitHub also holds like all the step-by-step process you can use to run this at the end of the day, right? So with this, we are good to go. So let's try to do this. So first and foremost, I've already spin up a project, but I will just try to spin up another one. So, and then I noticed there are like people from different African countries here. So if you don't seem to understand my Nigerian accent, just tell me so I can know the best way to handle that, right? So what will be the first thing we do here? Just like how it is written. just head over and use this command, which is npx create Starknet app. And then you can find this command here in the documentation where it is written, right? If you go to the installation, you can be able to see it. So after you've done all the installation, you can just head over here and do npx create Starknet app. Copy it, head over to your terminal where you want to spin up the boilerplate and then paste it there, which is what I just did now. So hope you all can see my screen. Let me confirm that. So let me see your emojis if you can be able to see my screen and if I can proceed. Yeah, thanks, Mulili. Okay. Yeah, Nanli. Nice. So country cousin wants me to zoom in. I hope is enough. All right. So let me try to spin this up. So if I click on enter, I've done all the iteration. It's going to ask me what's my package name. So let's say the name of my package is let's say Starknet's front end. Click on enter, and then it's going to ask me the available package I want. So do I want a contract only, or do I want a full stack application, or do I want a debugger or dojo or kakarot? I choose from 1 to 5 what I want and then input it in this terminal. So I want two. I want a full stack app that has both the contract and the front end, right? So I click on 2 and then enter, and I'm good. So we just wait for this to download all the file. Now it has removed all the useless files that we don't need. And currently it's installing all the dependencies for us. So you don't have to come and do dependency installation. It has already done it for you. And then it gives us the next step, which is telling us to cd to our project directly. And then npm run starts, right? So let's try to code dots and then do the normal npm run start stuff, right? So let's get a terminal and npm run start. Perfect. So our front-end app has been started on port 3001. So let's just copy this simply because I was using port 3000 earlier on. And then I paste it here. And perfect. So this is the boilerplate. So Starknet Scaffold has done everything for us. Like if you ask me, the connect wallet is here. I can click on connect. It has given me all the provider, a very sweet custom modal. That's even giving me automatically this. I can change the theme to either light or dark. I like dark mode because I'm a black man. And then these other stuffs, right? So if you're already familiar with React, you are good to go. So this is like the same thing of spinning up your React app that it will give you that basic stuffs. Like maybe let's say the counter app that it will first show you, and then you clear the whole thing and then you see what's happening there. So let's try to connect. Let me use my Bravos, and there, as you can see, I'm successfully connected. And then this is my wallet address. I can see my transaction history, blah, blah, blah. I can add a token, but all of these, I don't need them. So I'm going to take them out and only leave the nav bar to work with this, because like I said, I want to build a to-do app, right? And then the sweet part is this has already set up Tailwind CSS for me. So as you can see on default, it came with the styling, and then all the styling is done with Tailwind. So I don't have to go through the step of installing Tailwind again. I will just head over to continue with my changes and my manipulation that I have to do within like the front end app, right? All right. So let's see. Let's keep going. So first off, before we go further, let's look at the anatomy of this project. So this is the project we sprang out, or we scaffolded, as you can see. And then this is the contract side. So everything concerning our contract is going to be written here. You can write your scripts here, your SRC that contains the lib, everything here about your contract. You do it here. And then you can also check out, so that's enough of the contract side, because I believe that most of you here are already familiar with writing contract, right? So I'm not going to be showing the contract side of things within this class for the sake of time. All right. So next up, you can also check out the front end. So this is the front end repo. As you can see, Tailwind is already configured, and what have you, etc. here. Tailwind is configured. This is the front end, the SRC file, the components where we can write all our code here. So in these components, we can see like, and I check on internal, I can be able to see my header, which is where this header is coming from. And then you can see all the setup that was done here. So within my header, as you can see, so within this, they are using Starknet React core for their integration instead of Starknetjs. But then they are mostly the same thing. But then Starknet React is simpler than Starknetjs. So Starknetjs is like the boss of everything. Just like if you are familiar with Ethers, if you are familiar with Ethereum, Ethers.js comprises of all the methods you need and everything you need for your interaction and connection, right? But then there are other smaller tools like WAGMI, what's it called? WAGMI, Rainbow Kit, and the rest of them. But all those tools deep down are making use of Ethers, right? So same way with Starknet.js. So we have Starknet React, we have Starknetkit, but deep down behind the scene, all of those tools are making use of Starknet.js, right? So Starknet.js is like the Ethers.js of the Starknet ecosystem, right? Or of the Ethereum ecosystem. That's what Starknet.js is to Starknet. Same way Ethers.js is to Ethereum. So you can see all of this setup have been done. If you're a React dev, this shouldn't be. So the Horus Lab team did like a lot of job here, if you check. So a lot of work has been done so that we can be able to have all of this without having to do it from scratch. So imagine building your app without having to build the nav bar from scratch or do the stylings from scratch. A lot of things has been done for you. All you just have to do is edit the basic stuff you need, right? And then you are good to go. So that's completely the life of a developer. It's not supposed to be hard. The life of a developer is supposed to be as simple as possible. That's like the idea at the end of the day. All right, so you can check. This is the footer. You see what the footer does. Built with love by Horus Lab. So you can choose to change this. Maybe build with love by your own name. Probably you might get sued by the Starknet team, Starknet Africa, it's Horus Lab team. So that's the header, the menu button. And then within the app, you understand what all of this does, right? So let's just close all of this. Let's not confuse you guys. Let's head over to this page, which is like the entry point of our application. So this page contains like everything we need to see and use within the app, right? So you can see the header here. You can see all those other stuffs. But what is going to happen is I'm going to clear all these stuffs. Yep. And then work with what I want to. So the sweet part is everything has been installed for us. So we don't have to go through the process of all those installations and the rest. So if I head over to this, you can see what my app looks like currently, right? This is what it looks like. Just my header with this guy. So let me try to disconnect my wallet. So why is this saying I don't have? Is it my main net that is connected? So let's try to disconnect. Is there a network switcher here? Yep. So my network is Sepolia. Perfect. So I disconnect back. So on a normal, we are supposed to do like all this connection, disconnect by ourselves, but then the team at Horus Lab have done a great job by doing all of these stuffs for us. But it won't be bad if we like go over it and see how they made it work, right? So within these internal components, I head over to my header, and then you can see where they did like all those stuffs, where they created the address bar, menu bar, where you can change the theme. So within the address bar, this is where to check if there's an address or not. This is the connect button. So if there is an address, if we can find an address, it shows you this, which is the address bar and the menu button. But then if you can't find an address, meaning we didn't connect a wallet, it's going to show you a connect button. So that's just what this guy is doing. And then the theme switcher, it lives here. That's this guy, which you can use to change the theme. And then you can see now I'm not connected here, right? So it's showing me the connect wallet. But then if I connect, it is going to show me this guy, which is like the address bar, and then this last guy there, what's his name? The menu button and address bar. Perfect. So that's just the two of them. And then this is for the logo and the rest. So basically, as front-end devs, we have already understood what's happening here, right? So let me see your emojis if we are together and you get the concept of what we are doing before I proceed. Perfect. Okay. So let's go. All right. So first and foremost, most important thing, let's head over to build our app. So next up is I want to show you the contract I created, the to-do contract. So like I told you, we are building a to-do app, right? So this is the to-do contract I created. And then this contract has only two functions, which is to add to-do and to get all to-dos. And then add to-do, this is the to-do struct. So a particular to-do only has a title and a boolean to know whether it's done or not. And then this is our contract storage that contains the to-do count, which is the total to-do we have created, and also a mapping that has that maps a to-do ID to the to-do struct. And then this is the implementation of the whole stuff, right? Which we have the add to-do and get all to-dos function. So the add to-do function, simply what it does is it gets the to-do ID plus it, and then create a new to-do instance, and then write it to the storage, which has that mapping of to-do ID to the to-do instance. And then we are going to increment the count of to-do, which is from this to-do ID. And then lastly, we are going to get all to-dos. So to get all to-dos, we are going to save these to-dos in an array. So we created a new array here, and then we map through the map of all of the to-dos using the to-do count to know the total to-dos we have. Did a while loop, and then with that, we are able to add this to get all of our to-dos, right? So that's just what our contract does. Easy peasy, nothing much. Very, very minimalistic as possible. So next up, I have deployed this contract. So I assume that you guys already know how to deploy contracts on Starknet, declare contracts and deploy contracts on Starknet, right? So I've already done all of that for you. Next up, what we just do is head over to the contract address. So this is the contract address. Yeah, let me just click it from here and get it from StackScan. So let's open the contract from this. Yep. And then we can be able to see the contract. So I do the read and write. So you can see the function to get all to-dos, and then the write function to add to-do, right? Which only accepts the to-do title. So let's get all to-dos. I query. I think I've added 2 to-dos here. Yeah, sure. So I've added about 3 to-dos here, which we are going to work with in the front end and then display all of this. So this is just our contract. So I'm going to send this for you guys on the call, in case you want to have a look or you want to integrate this on your own end. So let me send this over on the call, and then, or I'll allow you guys write your to-do yourself, right? So that's my contract. So if you want to follow me up in the class, if you have everything set up, you can follow up, and then we are good to go. All right. So next off, most of our building will be done here. So I really don't want to head over to creating different components, right? So I will just do most of the building here. So let's see. So this is the styling session. All right. So to add a to-do, we don't need anything serious, just an input box that says. So if you're not a front-end dev, this class will be boring for you, right? But you can try to keep up to see the boring stuff that front-end developers do. So created an input box, and then we are going to create a button, and then this button will just say add to do. So that's what the button does. So let's head over and see what it looks like. Okay, so it's here somewhere at the top. As you can see, it's here. How do we fix that now? Yeah. So let's just try to do the styling before we try to bring that stuff at the bottom. So first off, you already know how we do the drill in React. We set states and the rest, right? So we try to set states, and then with that state, we can be able to get the current state of our input box, and then finally add it, right? So let's do that. Yeah, so let's go. We have currently set the state. So what I'm just trying to do now is to set, let's say, title. So I just want to get the title of the to-do and also set title. Nothing serious. On default, this is going to be new, so nothing is going to be on the title page. And then in this input box, we are going to set the value as title. Just the normal React stuffs we do, right? And then let's try to do the onChange function that is going to run anytime we. So let's say set title. So let's input this E here and say E dot target dot value, right? So anything we type here is going to be like to do title. So we have configured this input box. So the next thing now is to write the function that is going to help us add this to do. But then this is just we doing the styling. So there are a lot of stuff we need to bring into scope before we continue integrating, right? So first off, let's try to bring this to the bottom. Let me just do like a manipulation that yep. Perfect. So you see we have the to do here and then the add to do button. So let me just fix this properly and then give this flex. And then I say a flex call. Perfect. So this is where you insert the to do and then this is where you click the button. So I can just add more styling to this input box. I don't want to install any more dependencies. So I can just say give it a padding of 2. And then I'm going to give a gap here, a gap y of 4, so that there's going to be a space between the two of them. And then I will head over to also style this button. So I will also give this button a padding of 2, and then I will give it a BG of orange 300, just so that it doesn't look far from this color. But then it looks far. So let's say 500 then. I don't know what the team that the Horus lab used for this. But then it looks more like it. And then lastly, I will just head over to impute a placeholder that says enter to do title. Perfect. So with this, I'm good to go. So as soon as I enter my to do title here, I can be able to click on this add function and then I will view all my to do here. So at the end of the day, that's what we are trying to achieve for this class. All right, so let's get to it. So how do we integrate this now is the next question we are going to ask ourselves. How do we do this and how do we make this work? We have our contract somewhere. How do we interact with it? So first off, we head over to where our contract is. And then my contract, this is my contract address on Voyager. This is my contract address. So the first most important thing you need to do is to click on, where was this? Code. Perfect. So if you want to see your ABI, you go on code. So if you click on code, you can be able to see your contract ABI. So this is it. You see all your contract ABI here and then what it does. Yeah, is someone raising up their hands or something? Someone left the call. Oh, Nanli left. I think it's boring for Nanli, but let's keep going. Yeah, so let's go back to Voyager and then you can be able to see our ABI here. So like I told you what ABI is, they say ABI is like the blueprint, right? So it gives us the function and then what parameters those function accepts, etc. So like here we have a function that says get all to-dos, right? So input, it doesn't need anything as your input, but at the end of the day, the output is going to return an array of to-dos for you, right? And then the state mutability is view to tell you that this is a view only function and it is a read function. So I think we also have a function here for writing add to do. So you can see it here, type function, the name is add to do. And then this function accepts input. So the input is going to be title and title is supposed to be felt 252, which is supposed to be a maximum of 31 characters, right? So state mutability, this is an external function, right? Perfect. And then we can also see your Sierra bytecode, which you don't have anything to do with this for now. All we are building with is the front end. So all we need is the ABI. So first and foremost, the first important thing to do is to copy the ABI. So let's copy the ABI and then let's create a new folder and then paste our ABI in there. So within the SRC, I'm going to create a new folder. And then I will call it ABIs. So in ABIs, I would say to ABI. And then ABI is in JSON format. So when saving it, you save it as JSON. So we save it as a JSON file, which is most important. And then we copy and paste our ABI that we got from Voyager. You can also get this from StackScan if you are using StackScan, but I'm using Voyager. And then we paste this here. So this is the ABI for our code, and then we have it and we are good to go, right? So our ABI is here. What next? What's next? So let's head over to where we can do all our interaction, right? And then I told you everything happens in page.jsx. So the most important thing now is for us to import, let's import our ABI into scope. So let's go import, let's call it to do ABI from we get it from ABI slash to do ABI.json. So now we have our ABI now in scope. So what next? So the most important thing what we want to do now is that we want to write to the contract, right? So, and then in the process of writing, we want to, on clicking of this button is where we want to do the right stuff. So the first thing to do is to create a function. And then this function is going to be, let's call it create to do. So this function is going to be the function that is going to interact with our smart contract and then add the new to do to the smart contract, right? That's what this function is going to do. So we are good to go. So this is a function to create the to do. Now, what next? What next are we going to do? All right. So the first thing is there's another API called the contract API. So with this contract API, we are going to create an instance of our contract so that we can be able to interact with it. So let's head over and check out what the contract API does. So first off, we can just do it here and then, so first let's say const, let's save the contract address. So contract address. Now I'm going to go and get my contract address and then insert it there. So where's my contract address? I copy this guy, head over back to my app, paste it, and then this is my contract address, right? And then next up, I want to create the instance of the contract. So I'll just say const to do contract is equals to. Now, we need to bring contract into scope. So how can we create the event contract now? So we can get contracts directly from Starknet. I don't know if that's installed in here, but let's try to check it out if we have Starknet here. Yeah, good. So we have Starknet here. So meaning we can bring contracts into scope. So let's try to import contracts, but then first and foremost, let's write it down and then try to do that. So the first thing to do is say new contract. So from Starknet, it has already given me that. I can just click enter, and then you can see it has imported contract from Starknet, right? And then next up, contract creates. So contracts is accepts 3 parameters, right? Which we have here. First and foremost is the ABI. So the ABI of the particular contract we want to interact with. Next is the address, which is the contract address of that particular smart contract. And then lastly is the provider or the account, right? Provider or the account. So you use the provider if you want to do like maybe a read-only stuff. But then if you want to write, like I told you, then you use the account. So account and provider are the same thing, but then account is like an elder brother of provider because it extends the methods that provider have. So it extends the method by allowing you to sign transactions. That's just what account does, right? So first and foremost, let's bring the ABI into scope, which I have already done. So I've installed, so I've brought my contract ABI, right? Which is this to do ABI. So I can just copy it and then paste it here as like the first parameter. So to do ABI. Now the next step is the contract address. So where do I get the contract address from? I've already brought my contract address into scope, which is this. So let me give it a proper name and say to do contract address. Perfect. So I just copy this guy and then paste it here. And I have the contract address. So the final stuff that I need here, this is supposed to be highlighted. The final stuff I need here is the provider or the account. And then since I want to write, in this case, which do I need? So let me ask you a question now. Do I need the provider or the account? So that I know I'm not the only one in this class. So in this case, I want to write, do I need the provider or the account? You can tell me in the chat. You can also unmute your mic and let me know. But if you don't have an answer for me, I can proceed. I guess everybody's just enjoying the class and nobody wants to contribute to help me out. You guys should speak. Perfect. So Mulili said provider and ATOC said accounts. So now we have like, who is supporting Mulili on this? Let's see your hand. Just raise up your hands. So if you are supporting Mulili with provider, let's see your hands up. Okay, Moso is with Mulili. We have 2 guys. All right. So if you are with eTalk and you said this account, let's also see your hands up. So you guys, most of you can drop your hand. Let's see who are with eTalk. Nobody's with eTalk. That's serious. So if it's none of them, none of the above, let me see your hands now. If it's not provider and it's not account, maybe it's something different or it's both. All right. So people are scared of answering. Nobody wants to fail because the class is recorded and it's going to be put out on YouTube. All right. So I'll go with eTalk. So eTalk is correct. So we use an account in this case simply because we want to write. And in the process of writing is the process of signing transactions. So that's why we need an account. So let's say we only want to read from the smart contract. That's where we use the provider, right? But since we want to write, let's make use of accounts. And you can also use the account for reading also. So it works. So let's head over to the next part, which is to bring in our account into scope. So how can we bring accounts now into scope? So we are working with Starknet React. So let's see how we can bring accounts into scope. So we can import the use account from from Starknet React core. And then we use account, we can be able to get like the user's account, his address, and also the current status. So let's just get accounts from it. Let's destructure this and get accounts, right? So accounts, which is the most important guy that we need in this case. Perfect. Which is going to be the last guy that we are going to insert within the to-do contract. So I'm going to bring accounts into scope. Perfect. So now I have accounts. So meaning my to-do contract is fully functional, and then I have already brought, I have put an instance of my to-do contract, and then with this, I can be able to interact with it within my application. So that will be the next step of what we are going to do, which is going to be to interact with our tab. So let's head over to do that. So how do we do it? So in create to do, I don't want to make it any much hard or any, it should be as minimalistic as possible. So within create to do, I will just try to do like a try catch block in case we have an error. So, and then wait, let me try to see if Scaffold gives us a toast container. Oh, React hot toast. Wait, now I haven't really used this before, right? But then I can just try it out to see how it works. It should be the same thing with like the toast. For those of you that have used React hot toast, maybe you correct me in the course of this class. All right. Or for now, I won't make use of any tools. I will just console log it. Yeah, that will be best. So I'll console log the error. So I'll console log the error if in case there's any, and then we can be able to see that. So the first thing I want to do is to interact with to do, right? So this function is going to be a function that we interact with the smart contract. So it's supposed to be an asynchronous function because we don't know how long it's going to take. And then we are going to await this call now. So we are going to await making interaction to the to-do contract dot. Now we are going to access which function do we want to make an interaction with now. So which function are we going to interact with now? Which is going to be the add to do function. So without any ado, let's just head over to our to do ABI and then check the add to do function here. So this is a function which is to add to do. And then I head back here and I do the add to do, right? And then I call this function. So this function accepts a parameter, and then this parameter is the title. So my title, I've already saved it in a state here. So I'll just copy this title and then insert it here. Paste it, right? And then with this, I think no any further stress, my create to do is done. So my create to do is done. And then in this minimalistic way, I can be able to interact with it. But then there are better ways you can be able to handle like all the results you get back at the end of the day, right? But then the course of this class is just for us to read and write. So let's do that now. So I'm going to add the onClick function. And then in this onClick function, I'm going to pass in the create to do within it. And then I'm going to try to handle this. So if it's empty, so I will just say if to do, if title is empty. So if title is empty, I will just tell it to return an error, which is going to be an alert that tells us title is empty. All right. And then let's see this. Okay. Back to our front-end app. Let's see what it looks like. What's happening? Okay, good. So if I try to click on this, it tells me title is empty, right? So I have to enter a title before I can be able to add to do. So with this, I've written the right function. So how do we confirm that before we read? So first and foremost, let's go to Voyager and then let's try to read from our contracts and then query. So you see, I've currently created like 2 to-dos inside, which is take my bath and then say a little prayer. So that's like the first 2 things I do in a day. At times, not the first 2 as a dev. So at times we go out, we don't even pray, right? But let's keep going. Let me just add something. What do we add now? So someone should give me something I can add within the call. So just tell me a particular to-do you do every day that you want me to add within my smart contract. Or should we say join Starknet Africa's class? But that's above 31 characters. So my to-do title is not even supposed to be field 252, right? It's supposed to be like byte array. But then in the course of this, let's just work with field 252. So let's say attend class. So that's going to be the final stuff I will do. So let me try to inspect the normal things that front-end devs do so that we can see all the problems should in case we are trying to run into any. Okay. Let's clear all of these. Let's clear all of these and then let's try to run this stuff. So good. Let's make this big enough. And then I click on attend class and click on add to do. So you see, automatically it's going to prompt in this guy and then ask me to sign this transaction, right? Within my Bravos. So because I connected my Bravos wallet, so I will sign this transaction and then I have some stack and then hopefully all this goes through, right? So we don't get any response simply because I haven't handled all of this, but what just happened, it has successfully gone through. So if you want to know that this has successfully gone through, let's just head over to Voyager and then try to query this to see whether we have attend class here as part of all our to-dos. So let's query this again. Perfect. And then you can see I have 3 to-dos. Take my bath, say a little prayer, and then attend class. So with this, we have successfully written to our smart contracts from our front end. Who is excited? Let me see your emojis. Our only country cousin, Moso. Moso is in love with what we are doing. So we are going to be having crazy Starknet devs by the end of this bootcamp, right? Yeah, so we are looking forward to seeing you guys building crazy Starknet applications that will move Africa to the next level, and not just Africa, building global solutions for everybody. Let's not just limit ourselves within Africa, right? Let's build solutions that everybody can work with and everyone can relate with by like after this boot camp. So we are always available to help you out with anything you need at all. Aside money, because I don't have money. All right, so we have done like the first and most important stuff within this application, which is to write to contract. So the last thing is for us to read. So I'm tired of going to Voyager and see if it is correct. What I did is correct. All I just want to do now is I want to see it within my front end. So if my to-do is correct, if I add a new to do, I should be able to see it within my front end. So how am I going to do that in a fast and easy way? So this car is actually smooth, and then we might end it a bit earlier because the most important thing is just to read and write, right? So let me head back to my code. And then, like I told you guys, I will keep doing this within the same components because so let me just create a new div and then put this div inside of it. And then let's set the class name. Let's take out this, insert it here. And then let's make this a flex container. Let's let's make this grid. Grid dash calls. Grid dash call. Let's make this 2. And then let's create another div here. Let's give it a BG of white first and see what it looks like. Font is going to be quite ugly. So I've all my stylings take effects. I don't think so. Let me try something. Let me say P5. Okay, so it has, right? Let's see. Perfect. So I have 2 separate columns, and then this column is going to show all my to-dos. This one will show the other guy. So just something minimalistic, is not something big. I just want you guys to see how this can work on the front end, right? So next up, let's try to build a component that is going to view all our to-dos. So this, I'm going to make this a flex container. And then I'm going to give it a gap of y of 2. I'm going to align all items to the center. No, not center. So let's leave it like this. And then let's create H4 that says my to-dos. Right? Let's head back here and see what it looks like. Perfect. So this is what it looks like at the end of the day. So we enter our to-do here, click on OK, and then we see our to-dos here. Okay. So let's allow this guy to span to the full width. Perfect. So let's just work with this. So we enter our to-do here, click OK, and then we can be able to view all our to-dos here. So the first step of reading from our smart contract is what we are going to be working with now. And then to do this, there's a very sweet hook provided to us by Starknet React. And then we can use this hook to be able to read from our smart contract, right? So the name of this hook is use read contract. So use read contract, we can just read from one particular contract. So it is a hook that accepts an object that has the function name, the argument, the ABI, the contract address, and then asks us if we want to watch it or not. So that's what it works with. So let's try to bring use read contract into scope and then work with that. It is gotten from Starknet React core. So if I just head over here and I say use read contract, this can be found. So use read. Oh, use contract read. Is that it? Let's try it out. Maybe maybe some things have changed. So let's work with use contract read. It's been a while I did this. Fingers crossed. I hope this works. Yeah. Okay, this contract rig is telling me accepts the ABI, blah, blah, blah. So we can just head over to the React core and just see what this is. So let's say this is the constant, and then let's destructure our data from this, which is equals to use read, right? And then let's try to pass in the function name. So what is the function name that we want to read from? Let's head over back to our ABI and see the function name. So our function name will be get all to dos. So I copy it and I'm back here. Then I paste it here, which is get all to dos. Next up, I am going to insert the arguments, which is args. So the arguments are going to be in an array. So argument should, in case, let's say this function, for it, before it reads, it needs a particular argument. Maybe let's say we want to read a single particular to-do, and then the function needs an argument of the to-do ID. So within this argument, we are going to pass it here. Or for those of you who have done ERC20 tokens, where you need to check the balance of a particular address, so you can just put the function name as balance of and then pass in the person's wallet address as argument in there, right? So after the argument, we need the ABI of that particular contract. So ABI, and then we are going to insert the ABI. So the ABI is what? Same ABI that we worked with here, right? Which is going to be to do ABI. So let me copy this guy here and then paste it here. Perfect. And then next up, we need the address. So the address is going to be the contract address, which you also have here, the to-do contract address. I copy it and then I paste. So these stuffs are very easy, right? And then finally, watch. So watch is that we are telling the hook to always watch this function for us. So anytime there's a new update, we know. So that's just the use of the watch. And then with this, we can be able to read all our contract files and data. So now let's try to do something. Let me try to console.log data and see what it looks like. So let me inspect. Since it's not showing us any problem, it means we are good to go. Check our console. And then this guy is saying undefined, 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 meaning he hasn't found it yet. Why is that? Bunch of undefined. But then let's just keep working and hope this works out. Right? So next up, we have brought this into scope. Is just next thing now is just to display this particular data for the user on the front end so that the user can be able to see. So let's display this on the front end. Back to my code. This is it. So how do we display this on the front end? Under my to-dos, right? So we can just create a simple component that shows all the different to-dos. So we can just say class name of flex, and then this guy is going to take like the main to-do name. So let's say H4. I like using H4. And then let's say my to-do. So this is how it's going to look like. So my to-do. And then to see if it is done or not. So let's just work with my to-do. And instead of making this flex, since I've made this other guy, let's make it flex call. Right? So let's also make this guy flex call. Yeah, so on default, this is what it's going to look like, my to-do. But then let's iterate through this data and then see how we can be able to display it for the user on the front end. So the next most important stuff is to get the data. So this is our data, right? So we got the data from this guy. use contract read, right? So let's say if data, same way we do it in React, in your normal app, right? So we can just say data. If data is equals to undefined, then we show maybe no data available. So we can just do this and say, and tell the user in an H4 that no to-dos available. But then if there are to-dos, what is it going to show us? Let's say a H4 that says to-dos, just to see this at first. What's happening? Okay, so you can find it. That's why it's telling me to-dos here, simply because it can find it here. So we are good steps ahead and we are good to go. So next up, we have this data. Now let's check the length of the data and then map it. So if we have this, we can just say data.map. Same way we do in our normal React app. So we try to map this and then we say to do. Yep. This should work. So let's take this guy out. And then let's view this guy here. What's happening? Data is possibly undefined. All right. So what will happen is, let's just do it this way. Shut down this guy. And then take this guy out. So we leave this guy like this. And then let's say data and data dot length is greater than 0. Let's say that we paste this guy now. Does not exist on type string. Okay, so what do you guys want me to do now? I guess they want us to format this properly. All right. Let's also take this guy out. Let's just map it. True. Map does not exist on type string. So simply put, data is a string currently. How do we work on that? So let's head over to Starknet React and then view the documentation. It's going to be of very good help to us. So this is Starknet React. Then let's head over to the documentation. You can see all the bunch of hooks here, but then we want to use contract what? Use read contract, which is this guy. So I click it, and then this is it. Use read contract. They give us the data. It returns data undefined when it's resolved. So now how can we handle this data? Because the data is telling us that this is a string, so it cannot manage it. How do we do that? All right, so let me see, let me try something. To do dot title. My problem is I want to map this guy, and this doesn't exist on type string. So it's looking at this guy as a string. Is it use contract read or use read contract? Let me head back here. Yeah, oh, use read contracts. I knew it. I knew something was wrong, but so why can't you find it? Has no exported member name use read contract? Did you mean use contracts? So Starknet React Core can't find this, but if we head over to their documentation, is there. So what's happening? What is happening? So we don't need to panic. There are like different ways we can be able to read from this guy, right? We can even decide to use Starknetjs to be able to read all these stuffs like that. So we don't necessarily have to use this particular hook from Starknet React Core. But then things are changing every day, and then I need to confirm the version if probably the scaffold is using a older version. But it's the same thing that is happening here, right? As you can see, same stuff that we did. Use read contract. So maybe let's copy it from here. Maybe we are the one that didn't spell it correctly within our app, and then try to have a look. So it's the same thing. Use read contract from Starknet React Core, but then he can't find it. Can't find it. Can't find it. So we have one particular error which still stands here from Starknet React Core. Use read contracts. So I wish I was working with this. This would have been like a lot more easier for me. All right, so let's try to use like a different method to be able to read this data. So what do we do now? Can we work with like the normal contract formats? We already have contract here. So without any stress, let's just switch this to the use contract read, right? Why is this working? So use contract read. Let's work with that. All right, so no need of this guy. Let's comment this guy, and then let's try to use the normal method, which is to like get so we are going to use the use effects to help us load this data, and then we can be able to see it. But first and foremost, let's just create like a very simple function. But we are going to delete this. The problem now is just to get the to-dos. So let me try to await to do contracts. So and then let me just try to get all to dos from here. Then maybe let's say let's save this as a response, and then let's try to console log the response. What's happening? Okay. Let's try to console log all of this. And I'll just call the function which is get all to dos. So maybe we can be able to see it within the console. So if this works, we are going to work with this method. If it doesn't, already is working already. So you can see it in the console, right? All the different to dos. So this get all to dos is working. So that's perfect. But then you can see how this to do looks like. You can see it's coming like in a different format. Can you guys see this? The false is correct, but then the title is coming this. We can't be able to see it. It's coming in felt. So this is how felt looks like. So those of you who have been building on Ethereum, you know it's very easy for you to read your data that you have written to the blockchain, right? But then when you come to Starknet, things are a bit different simply because we are working with Cairo, and then Cairo have different data types, and then these data types are not supported in JavaScript. So first and foremost, when you read from your contract and then you bring all this information, you need your contract to be able to, you need your JavaScript to be able to translate this data types for you back into the data types that JavaScript understand. So in the course of this, we are going to write like a simple function, and then this function is going to help us convert our felt 252 to string, because this title is felt 252. So we want to convert it back to string. So how do we convert felt to string? So next up, I'm going to create a file here. So I'll just call the file index. I'll just call the file helper JS. So this file is going to contain like all our helper function. And then I will just head over to get the function to help us do this. So I've written the function somewhere. Trust me, I can't, every time I want to do this, I go over to check it over again, right? So it's not something that you have to cram in your head. But then this is something you can cram, but then I won't. So I just head over and then paste it in my helper function. So this function is going to help us convert felt 252 to string. So I also send this within the call, so you people can just keep this. Yeah, so Itok, you are very correct. I know that's the problem. That's why my Starknet React is not working or is not reading. Simply because we are using two different versions with what these guys are working with. So that's why. But then this is it. So I brought my helper function here and I've exported it. So let me just bring my helper function into scope. So in my page.jsx, I will just import function now. Felt to string. Right, is that it? Let me check my helper. Yeah, felt to string. So I'll just bring it into scope. I think I'm even supposed to do it here. So let me move this whole function into this SRC. Move it to app. Good. So that I can be able to see it. So in my page.jsx, if I just type what's it called? Felt. Okay, I've exported this guy. Why can't I see it? Let's just use this felt to string. Let's import it. So import felt. So let's get it from helper. So felt to string. You can't find it. Or let's do it this way. Good. So you can find it now. It can find it. Uh-oh. Oh, this is a TypeScript project. Ah, okay. So this is a TypeScript project, and then how do we convert this now? Because it's already yelling at us because of this helper function. So automatically it's already yelling. Now, what could be the problem? But let's just try this out. Hopefully it works. So I'll just try to convert these guys to string, and then when my data is being returned, so I might just convert them. But with this, I can still view this within the page, right? So first and foremost, before I do all those conversion, let's do like the most important stuff here. So I will create a new state that is going to handle all my to-dos, since I'm not using the read part again. So I'll just say to-dos and then set to-dos, right? So I say use states, and then this guy is going to be empty at first. So next up, let's head over to do my use effect hook. So let me read my use effects. Let me just do my use effect down here. Shit. So let me take this out and use the use effects. Okay. And then, so my use effect is ready. And then within my use effect, I will just copy and paste this get all to do's function and then run it in there. Right. And then, so what is going to happen here is instead of console.login response, I'm going to set to do's to be response. Right. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to run this function and say get all to do's. Then I take this guy out of the picture because it's no longer needed. And fingers crossed, this should work. Yeah, perfect. So it has set all my to-dos, and then you can see them here, right? So now we can map. Then we are good to go. So we can just map from to-dos. So let's do that here. So instead of using data, we'll take this out and try to map. So we'll map to-dos. And then make sure to-dos. Now, why is it not mapping? This is a TypeScript problem. So since this is TypeScript, I think we need to bring a type into scope now, so that we know the type of data we are working with, and so that it's going to destructure that for us, right? So let me just try to do that ASAP, and then we are good to go. So we are almost there, because we can be able to see it in the console, right? So it's just to display it on the front end. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then, mind you, I'm not a TypeScript badass. I do most of JavaScript more, but then okay. So I think I know where the problem is coming from. So let's just set the type, because it's saying type never. And then we can be able to iterate through. So that means the use contract read work initially, because it's still sending back the same problem for us, right? So simply put, the use contract read works, but I don't know what is the problem in this case. Okay, so let's try to map this and set a type for it. So item any. But this is also built with TypeScript. Map does not exist on type never. So where's this to dos? But I can't set a type here. It's undefined, but I can set a type here. Right? So now what would this type be? So TypeScript devs in the house, you all can help us debug this, so that we can end the class early, right? Do you have any that have a solution for this? Oh, sorry, let me share my screen again. Yeah. Okay. Itok is saying we should set a type any, but initially I've set my type any here. Yep. I've already said in the process of mapping, I've set my type to any. Property map does not exist. So I think it's coming from these to dos. So why is this never? So we should set like a type for this. So let's try to set this. Should we call this any? Let's see if this will work. Okay. Oh, Moses Tosin. Nice response. I think that's what fixed the problem. Okay, so now we can see it, but let's try to map it now. So let's say to do dots is done. Let's see if that is going to show. All right, so this is fixed, but then I think this guy is supposed to be an object. So let's not make this type any. Let's make it an object here and see if this will work. And let's say title. So title will be any. And then what now? Is done. We say boolean. Okay, let's see. So let's try to check out is done. Okay, so to do's is an array. Yeah, can be able to see it. But then all right. So since this is proving stubborn, let's just head over to a similar repo I've worked with. But most of the times I don't work with TypeScript. I use okay, but this is built with TypeScript. Wow. So that means there's hope for us to fix this. So let's explore events page, right? Okay. And any index this. the data, but we are using this guy at the end of the day. So let's head over to events. Okay, and then okay, so event is coming as any. Yeah. So this TypeScript from helper.js, same stuff. Actually, we have done same thing we are doing, but then this is proving to be stubborn. So, but let's just try this out. So let's use the felt to string and see if this is going to display. So instead of doing this, I'll just take this out and say any. Oh. Then we'll say any, right? So let's set felt to string. So to do dot title, and let's use felt to string and wrap it inside of to do dot title. Perfect. So we're done with that, and then we can be able to see all our to do. So I hope you all can see, right? So we use felt to string to convert that, and then we can be able to see it. So you can see our first to do: take my bath, say a little prayer, then attend class. So to vindicate this, let's try to create a new to do, and then let's see if it will work or not. So our last to do now is create to do. So let's say, yeah, you can just say create to do. So that will be our last to do. So let's try to add to do, and then we have this, and then we can be able to sign the transaction, wait for this to go through. So this actually Sepolia, that's why things are a bit slow. I think it was mainnet, everything will be moving crazily fast. So let's just wait for this to sign. Perfect. But then we are not handling our state properly. If not, we are supposed to see this. Or is it that it didn't load on time? But let's just wait a little. If this doesn't load, then we try to refresh the page to see if we can be able to see all our to-dos. Okay, so it's not loading, meaning we didn't handle this properly. So we can just refresh this, and then you see create to do here at the end of the day. So how do we handle this properly? Let's use let's add something to the dependency array. Maybe let's add the create to do function to, or what do we add to the dependency array? Should we add the to do? Let's see. Let's add create to do to the dependency array and see. So enter to do, say hello. It's taking time to load this. Why? Good. So let's say hello and add to do. Wait for that same long process. Oh, So this doesn't work. I wish it was create the app and the rest. We will have been able to see what we are working with properly, right? But then for now, the most important thing is we can be able to see all our to-dos, and then we can add a new to-do, and then all of this exists in the smart contracts. I can head over to my smart contract, try to query this again, and then you can see all the to-dos that we've created. And then with this, I will say we have successfully read and also written to our smart contract directly from our front-end application with Starknet. So thank you very much for your time and for listening to my boring lectures.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manoah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we have questions at this point. Are there any questions? So the tutor can take your question. Okay, Moses has a question. Please go ahead.
All right. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Is it, let me just call you Luca.
Just say Manu.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mano. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually joined the lecture late, but the question I want to ask is where can we get like more things like this that deal with front-end integration with Starknet? Like, it's not something that is that common on even on the internet. I don't think so. I
Yeah.
can find really this on Starknet integration with React or things like that. So where can we easily find things like this so we can practice more?
Okay, so I haven't checked into the Scaffold Wikipedia properly, but I think there are a bunch of resources within the Starknet Scaffold Wikipedia that you can be able to see this. And then another location I will advise you to is try to watch YouTube videos of all of these base camps that have happened. So they are currently on YouTube. You can be able to see them and then try to watch and see what's happening. Then the ecosystem doesn't have much of resources currently, though there are a bunch of people trying to write a lot of stuff that will help new developers come on board. But for you as a new developer who is also here, you can try to also write your article anytime you watch this video. So while you are trying to watch these videos to integrate this, I advise you write an article or something so that it's going to serve as a valuable resource for others to learn. But just head over to the Scaffold Wikipedia. You will see like a lot of resources you need from this.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manu. Any other question at this point? Okay, so I'm going to guess there is no question, assume. So thank you so much, Manu, for that insightful session. It was really great. And I hope you all have learned something new today. Right. So, but you can always go on the YouTube playlist, Starknet Africa YouTube playlist, to listen to the recording again. Right. And okay, so by tomorrow we are going to be sending out forms, assignment forms from week 1 to week 7. The last week is week 7, right? So we're going to be giving you a week to be able to complete the assignments from week 1 to this week, which is going to like end next week. So we want you to be able to like cover up your assignment. And for week 2, if you know you can finish the circling exercises, please do. It's going to help you. It's going to level up your scores, right? You know, I've talked about the Starknet proof of kudos, right? They are in categories. There's the one for just the normal attendee, and there's cum laude. Cum laude is the one is for distinction, if you pass with distinction. So finishing all these assignments, completing the exercise, the Starknet exercise, like I made mention of, was going to boost your mark. So all the forms will be sent out tomorrow. We're also going to be having the community, Starknet community, Starknet Africa community call tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. UTC. So it's going to be building a career and project in the Starknet ecosystem. So you're done with the bootcamp now. What next? We don't want to just leave you out there. You need to like build a career, like build a project, start building a project, forming teams and all of that. So all this information, you are going to get more of it in tomorrow's call. So don't miss out. It's going to be 5 p.m. UTC, which is like 6 p.m. West African time. And I think that should be 7 p.m. Nairobi Kenya time. Yeah. So also, once you guys have submitted your assignments, we are going to be checking and grading by December 5th. That's next week. We are going to be grading the assignments and all by December 5th, and we're going to be sending out graduation form 6th of December for you to submit your wallet address so you can you can get your spoke right from the Starknet Foundation. Then after December 6th, we are going to be having Lagos meetup, Starknet Lagos meetup. That's 7th of December. That's on Saturday next week. Yeah, so if you are in Lagos, make sure you attend. Most of all your tutors, your idolos, they are going to be attending. Even Manoah is going to also be at the meetup on Saturday next week. And then lastly, Nairobi meetup is 11th of December. So for Kenyans, if you're in Nairobi, make sure you also attend the meetup 11th of December. So I think this is all the information that I need to pass across for now. So you guys just try and finish up your assignment. You have a week. You can just dedicate like each day to do the assignments. It's not so much. I mean, if you've learned something, there are recordings. The recordings are on YouTube. You can go and listen to the recording and try to like do your assignment. If you encounter any blocker or any issue, you can always reach out on Starknet Africa Telegram channel, or you can DM your tutors. They are always available to question. So we just want you to be able to like finish strong, and we want to like be sure that you actually like you've gotten like a skill, like you are very skilled after this boot camp, right? To be able to like start building your project, contributing to open source and all of that. So I think at this point I'm going to rest my case. Thank you for listening to my tech talk. Okay, so I don't know, Paul, do you have any additions to make before we end the call tonight? Hi, are you with me?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm really excited, like how far we have gone with this, and I'm actually hoping to see that everyone completes their assignment. So if you're on this call, I mean, the score for the assignment is if you score up to 50% total, right? So just make sure you do it right and accurate. Then for the submission, just like Sarah said, it will be the deadline will be December 5th. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. The deadline is December 5th. And also, I mean, graduating from this Cairo Bootcamp kind of like gives you some kind of benefits, right? Because if, let's say, in the future you want to do your own bootcamp, if you have this proof of attendance, it gives you an edge to be able to get the opportunity to do your own base camp in the future. So we're not just like doing this for doing sake. We are hoping that everyone get to follow up and also get to be active participants in the Starknet ecosystem. And I can assure you that this ecosystem is very rewarding, and a lot of African builders have actually benefited from this. And we are hoping that everyone that participated in this also benefits in the long run, because it's all about like thinking long term. And with Starknet, with Cairo, with what the team is doing, and also what the community in Africa is doing, is a long term stuff for everyone I've actually like seen here. So thank you all for joining our Cairo Bootcamp, and we hope to see you tomorrow in the community call, whereby Sarah, Roberts, and Rehan from the Starknet team talk about the next steps you can take in the ecosystem, which include contributing to Only Doors, and also the available grants, like the details basically that you would need to know about this. So thank you all for joining, and do have a good night's rest. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.